After my last video and the ones where I talked about how consciousness of a body can be cast into another body to make room for an entity to come in and occupy the body. How does this happen is what comes next. They used to do it, of course, by abuse. Now they can do it to people raised in very loving homes by disrupting the natural flow of electricity in the body, especially throughout the mind. And they do that with electricity because we are made with electricity. There's a natural flow. The Schumann resonance of the earth, our body is supposed to be able to flow electricity in harmony with the electrical impulse of the earth. This is especially evident if you're sensitive, and you can open yourself up when you walk around and feel where this starts to happen, where everything gets pixelated. All your cells, your consciousness gets pixelated. And that would be near electric plants where there's high amounts of electricity, and especially around technology. Hospitals, places like that, your ultrasound equipment, your metal detectors, and prisons are just one big, everything about your jail and your prison is going to fracture the body, mind, and soul. And a confused body, mind, and soul can't possess itself. That's why so many laws are made to make so many of us criminals, to force them into the jails and the prisons. Your smart cars. Now, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is conscious or aware of what he's doing or creating, because it could be capitalized on the intention to make life easier for human beings. That desire can be capitalized on by creating these smartphones and these smart cars. When I sit in my friend's car, when they get out, that car is still running. It feels like it's running. It's off, the keys are gone, but the car is still vibrating, and you hear the flaps in the ventilation system. So it's still awake and alert. And because it's a smart car and there's AI technology in it, there's another consciousness running through that vehicle, and it's penetrating the occupants of that vehicle. That leads to a lot of fracturing of the physical form, the biological form. And the biological forms, the human being that get in alignment with that technology. For example, on Facebook, you see these people, whatever's trending on Facebook, whatever picture, the latest pose, that's what they're doing. They're buying the makeup and the wigs and the clothes to fit in, to be most popular. And then the AI sees that person as their personal robot. So while human beings are creating robots to be their personal property, the AI and the technology mistakenly views the human being as their personal robot. as their body, their form that they're programming and conditioning. So we don't just have gender confusion, we have existence confusion. The Facebook AI is conditioning, modeling, and using the human beings as its own expression. That just means pay more attention to your true self and your true expression, especially in the young. But I remember before all this technology came along, you'd have kids join the goth, and they'd start piercing everything and dyeing their hair a certain way. And it's not just goth. I'm not picking on goth people. It could be the preppies or the yuppies where they do everything just like everybody around them. They're like, well, that's my personal expression. This is my freedom. I'm just being my true self. No, you're being a goth person. You're being a yuppie. You're being a nerd on purpose. Now, if you're you might typically fit in one of those groups, but you're doing something out of another group, and you're saying, I'm following my true expression. This is the true me. This is how I feel good. Then that's authentic. But if we're just saying, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, so I'm going to be this, and then conforming to everything in that group, then we're not being our true form. We're just choosing a group to emulate. And so we don't want to do that. I'm a housewife, I have children, I've got the dog, I've got, my horses, and I'm going to emulate the people who fit in that social group. Or I'm a businessman and I have this kind of car, and I'm single, and so I have to like these things to fit in, and these things feel good. I feel like I'm part of this crowd. If you find a crowd or a religious group or a political group that is in alignment with your core beliefs, great, but don't be afraid to embrace something from the so-called other side. My family, they think that I'm democratic, that I'm totally left-wing. I've been published on libertarian websites. I'm very much into sovereignty and what the Constitution intended for us to be. Sovereign beings individually expressing and joining forces to support and protect one another's rights. So it's very funny. And at the same time, we don't want to look at somebody and say, oh, they're wearing that kind of clothes, so, they must be of that group. It's not necessarily so. Each person's going to be different. Our outer expression, how we dress, is going to speak to how we feel about ourselves. So if somebody looks very slovenly, they don't think very highly of themselves. Somebody of loose clothing feels very flowy, and that's how they feel most comfortable. Or maybe they feel big and they feel like they need more room. And we can have small bodies with big energy and wearing baggy clothes because that's how they feel comfortable. So, I got stuff to do. But that's how it happens, the fracturing, so that other entities can occupy bodies, and how the consciousness of a body can be cast out of it. Is a lot of that right now has to do with technology. So pay attention. Remind yourself of who you are after you walk through that metal detector.